Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Naughty Shaman podcast. This is Natalie Carlisle, your host today. And I just wanted to tell you that I have started to do something new with the podcast, and it's called Doing Your Dharma. And it's a new series that features Dharma school grads who have found a way to step into their purpose, into what they're doing here, and find a way to use all their magical gifts to make the world an even better place. And so today, my guest is Krystal McCabe, who is a mom, who is a visionary, who is an expert in human design, who is an expert in child advocacy. She is also the founder of a living sanctuary that's in West Suffield, Connecticut. And this whole entire place in her life has really been dedicated to this journey to inner knowing. And so we're going to be talking about spiritual awakening and how parenting can be a segue into that spiritual awakening and even more. So I want to welcome you, Krystal. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, this is such a long time in the making. So I'm glad we're finally here. I remember reaching out to you a long time ago because I stalk you on Facebook and I'm always so inspired by your photographs and what you're doing and how you're raising your kids and how you're living as a woman. And so I think maybe we could even
Thank you.
start all the way back to maybe your spiritual awakening and when that might have happened and how. Do you want to go back there?
Yeah, let's do that.
Right on.
All right. Wow. Okay. So this was 13 years ago. Uh, my oldest daughter was born,
Okay.
and I was working, loved my job, loved it. I was a cake decorator. It was fun. I had freedom. I could just have fun in a job. And had my daughter. It was time for me to go back to work. It was the 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And my husband and I were like, okay, daycare. That's the normal thing. That's just where we need to go. So I look at a couple daycares, and there wasn't necessarily anything wrong with the daycares, but it was this feeling I had of
Mm,
this doesn't feel like my path. It doesn't feel like where I need to be, where my daughter needs to be. And I got back home, and within the following days,
mm,
I love this old saying that you have. I got hit by a 2x4 and awakened through that experience. And my path began there. I was shown so many different patterns, and just the traditional path did not seem like a fit for me. And
mm.
I started paving the way for our journey.
Wow.
And within the next couple years, my second daughter was born. And it was really challenging in the beginning, but I knew that we were to be in nature, we were to
Mm,
be together. I formulated some values. One of my top values is connection. So
mm.
I always leaned on connection. And so my awakening journey is very much through those early years of parenting and even just becoming a woman because I was 22, 22 to 24 with both those babies and found my love for nature
Wow.
and found peace within that too, because nature is peaceful.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
incredible. So, like, what was the 2x4 that hit you upside the head? Like, you're looking at the daycares, you're thinking about what to do. There's not a roadmap for how to homeschool your kids and keep connection and values like you have. So, like, what was the 2x4?
Oh,
The
the two
big
by four.
realization. Yeah.
Yeah, the big realization was that there was this common traditional path that everyone just seems to have that pressure of going down.
Mm,
And what I saw was another option. And so,
yeah.
really, that 2x4, it's hard to explain, but it was like I could see the matrix and like I'm thinking of this meme where it's like everything's just happening at once, all these science symbols. And for like the next couple days, I just saw so many traditional ways of living and how I don't have to choose that. And then I just followed that desire for creating a connection within our family in this way. I didn't
Wow.
want to be, I just knew there was another way to be where we didn't have to split up.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
makes so much sense. And, I don't know that a lot of women I don't know that we give ourselves permission always to say this conventional wisdom is not for me, and then have the courage to take a step away from the conventional wisdom or the tradition and
Mm.
what's right, discover your values. So tell us more about your values and how you've kind of constructed your homeschooling experience, your home being as a family experience.
Yeah. So in the early days, I did a lot of research. Research filled me up. So for my value, connection was the easiest one. That one really just grounded me. But after that, I really looked into different philosophies of raising children that are not on the traditional path. So it's
Mm,
Montessori, it's
mhm,
Waldorf, it's Sudbury. And I started reading from people who really sat with the idea that there's another way to be with our children. And as I did all that research and listened, and even just being in my day to day,
mhm,
watching my children, what are they interested in? I was like, wow, I can really just weave all of this together. And then another value of mine is freedom. And so
mm.
as we lived our days, it's funny because now, like today, 13 years later, the last couple of days, I'm just like, wow, you really can create whatever you want to do. You can make up whatever job you want to do and do it. But it takes a lot of work of like deconditioning the mind and the body of what is usual. What is
Mm.
usual? And so, yeah, those values, freedom is a big one. That's I mean, that's definitely a big one. I want my children to feel like if they are passionate one day about something and not the next day, I want them to feel like they can change it up and it's okay to stop this and come back to it or start something again. I just want our days to be filled with that, and they are.
That's amazing. So tell us what is one of the difficult things that's usual that you struggled to break up with? Like one of the harder things that's usual
Mm.
that was hard to break up with?
Okay, might be unconventional in what I think that would be, but what I would say is my internal ways of being.
Mhm.
I needed a new map to how to be with my kids in order for me to live out this heart's desire of
Mm,
having this connection with them. So, what
yeah,
I kept bumping up against was yelling. Like, I
yeah.
grew up in a household where there was yelling, and my heart's desire was connection. And I knew that yelling was not going to bridge that connection between parent and child. And so, really awakening in these moments every moment when something happens and I feel this inside of me, start to go into that old pattern of yelling, but then stopping it beforehand and be like, wait, this is not an emergency. We can relax here. What's actually true in this moment? What do they need? What's going on? And so the more I did that, the more I practiced that, I was able to become who I want to be in my day to day. And of course, I'm not perfect, but practicing this has really opened my eyes up to wow, I can do this. I am really changing who I am. And this is how I need to be in order to create the conditions for what I want to see.
Yeah. It's incredible. Like as I listen to you, you're parenting with such consciousness. like
Mm,
such awareness and presence in the moment to be able to make these choices of who to be and how to react to different situations is just incredible.
thank you.
When you come across other people that find out that you're homeschooling, what's their reaction to that?
Oh, I have really great experiences. Oh my gosh, there's this one story. Oh, I love it so much. We went to in town a nursery for plants, and we were picking out plants, and there's this woman who's tending to the plants, and I have my 3 kids with me, and she comes over and she's like, aren't they supposed to be in school? Like usually it's a little bit of what's going on here? And I'm like, oh, we homeschool, so they're here with me, this is what we do. And she's like, oh, so she pondered it for a little bit, and she was like, wow, that is really something. Because and then she started going into her story of how when she was in school she dreamed about becoming a writer, and she just wanted to spend her days reading and writing. And I'm just fully in this moment listening to her because I'm like, yeah, yeah. And she's like, but then there was just so much to do in school. And I always wondered what would have happened if I had more time at that age. And then it was just like, just in that moment, she just told me her story, and I was like, yeah, you know, maybe there's something alive for you now to continue doing that and to tap back into that. But it was just, it's really beautiful to, I end up hearing people's stories of
Mm,
that, and not too many, pushback or anything.
yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good to hear. I always wondered because it isn't very common. It's becoming more common. There's more of a trend for homeschooling, but you still don't hear about it as a major movement right now, at least in my world. But and another thing that I found interesting about what you were just saying is that it sounds like having children and trying to chart this course and make this map for living and raising children that's all new, it has been a spiritual path. And I think some parents get caught in this trap of, I can't do my spiritual path because I have kids. And they take up so much
Mm.
time. And so I can't follow my heart's desire or something like that. What would you say to that idea?
Oh my gosh, this is such a great question. So I'm bringing this book in.
Okay.
This
What
is
is
the
that book?
book
I can't
I
see it quite right.
recommend. Can you see it now?
Oh, yeah. The Fourth Way.
The
Hmm.
Fourth Way. So this book changed my life because I wasn't even aware of the fact that, becoming a monk, you have to give up certain physical things in your life. And you, like you said, you go to a place and you become spiritual, which
Hmm.
is such a great path. So wonderful. And often I would be like, oh, that would be really great.
Just go live on a mountain somewhere in a cave. Yeah. I've
Yes,
had that
yes.
same idea.
But like, wow, I love my family, and I'm being so pulled into this way of being that that wasn't an option for me. And so, what became an option was, of course, your teachings, your classes, your school. And this book really showed me that there is a way to awaken in our everyday lives.
Mm,
And it's exactly what I said about, that part of me that wanted to yell, and sitting with that. And it's that fourth way. So there's other ways. There's like the other way is like a yogi. So it's of the
mhm,
mind. So it's about bringing all these centers together, and in your everyday life, just sitting with what's going on, and feeling that feeling in the body, and sitting with it, and going from there. And kids, kids, like life is so, I don't remember having much friction in my life as a cake decorator and having such a great job. I loved it until my kids came. And, kids are great, but they also trigger.
mhm,
They triggered so much, like my childhood, every single part of life. with kids can be so challenging,
Hmm.
especially as a homeschooler or anyone who wants to homeschool or be around children every day.
Hmm.
So I'm so grateful I found that because there is a way to live with working with that friction and finding a new
Mm.
way of being.
Got you. What's one of the best lessons learned or pieces of advice from that book that you would want to share of the fourth way? And who was the author for that book?
So this is Ospensky and it's
Okay.
Lectures of Gurdjieff.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah. It's lectures
It's
of
a
him.
handful.
Yeah, it is. Practicing how to say his name, Gurdjieff. That was an interesting one.
I was like, I can't even repeat it. So I'm glad you said it.
Yeah. Um, yeah, what is the biggest takeaway? The most I got out of this book is really getting the confidence
Hmm.
because I've heard these teachings. There's some new stuff in here if folks have done classes before. There's definitely some new stuff to learn, but also it was the way he explained things that gave me the confidence in knowing that what I'm doing is really making a difference inside of me and my home and my family and my community. And I don't know, there was some part of me that really just felt like, okay, this is cool and all. Is it really making a difference? But I can sit here today and be like, that was my heart's desire 13 years ago. And I'm here today because of the confidence I've had to stick with this
Mm.
and to continue and to keep practicing. Because there were times in my journey where I wanted things to happen. I was like, what's going on? What am I doing? This is just everyday blah. But looking back those 13 years, it's like, wow, I started. There was a day that I started and I kept at it every day. And now I have the confidence to
Hmm.
lead with my desire and to maybe show people that there is another way to live. And you can come to that conclusion faster, maybe than I have. But yeah, this book just gave me the confidence. So anyone who's really spiritual or reads spiritual books, I don't know, there was something about this one that really just gave
Yeah.
me the language of what I was
Yeah.
missing.
That's beautiful. I love that. So I
Mm.
know you also do human design because I've had a human design reading with you, which was so beneficial. I still have all of your notes. Look at these notes. They're all pink.
Ah,
I know this
love
is
it.
the everything that we talked about. And I know that you use it in your parenting. And so I'm curious for people who know about human design, how do you find that you use that when parenting and creating these connections? How does it come into play?
Yeah, so I'll start at the beginning. When I
Mhm.
really discovered human design, it allowed me to understand myself better.
Mhm.
And so when I looked at human design, maybe for one of my children's charts, I would look at their charts. I would lean on it when there was that friction happening.
Uh-huh.
And I would discover something in their chart that gave me permission to just be like, okay, you know what? They are their own person. They
Mm.
are going through this journey. You know, I am someone who sees patterns. And so it's easy for me to pick up on, but also learning discernment
Mm.
with children. So I have this whole integrity piece about children and these systems. But for me as a parent, they don't know much about their charts at all. But
Right.
what I use it for is to gather understanding in
Mm.
order to be present for them and what they're working through. Because I can't see a better way of doing that. That
Right.
brings the connection.
That's brilliant. And I think some parents feel that traditional pressure to mold and shape the kids and based on their own life lessons. And there's so much projection that goes
Mm.
on, I think, when parenting occurs. Unhealed wounds from our childhood can sometimes then get projected onto the kids, and then they have to be the greatest athlete or they have to be the greatest student
Yes.
because we feel like we missed out in our lifetimes. And it's so heartbreaking. So it's refreshing to hear that you've been wrestling, with a better way to do all of this and not fall into those traditional traps. Now, everybody
Yeah.
can't homeschool, right? So there's that choice because of will or because of other things, ability. Not everybody can do that. Do you have any advice for folks that maybe are still participating in a public school system, but can bring some of these conscious parenting ideas into their life? Do you have any advice or thoughts for them of how they could do
Mm.
that?
I love that. I love that. So, what I would say is really being present,
Mm,
listening, and not finding solutions for
mm,
kids. I like my tagline, Journey to Your Inner Knowing. There's just this part of me that knows, regardless of homeschooling or how you said anyone,
mhm,
if we can listen and be present with who's in front of us in that moment, which are kids,
mhm.
then that connection, it's just really all about that connection and the way they feel when they're with us. That is such an important thing. That is going to stick forever. It's not going to be about our solutions. It's going to be how we made them feel.
That's powerful. I just kind of want to let that linger in the air a little bit. How we make them feel is what they're going to remember.
Mm, yeah.
That's powerful. It's really real. Your approach to parenting is very real. And, how much healing work do you feel like you had to do to be able to get in a place where you can stand in neutral in a way and be a
Mm,
clean mirror for them or be present, a space holder for them rather than get kicked into and triggered into all the other ways of being a parent of the telling and the yelling and the solving and the
mm,
helicoptering and all that nonsense. How much did you have to do to get ready for that, would you say?
ooh, gosh, I would say 10 years.
Yeah,
And
right.
those 10
Like I'm
years, like
still
I'm
wondering with it. I know. Yeah.
like those 10 years, I'm talking like at least an hour of research, reading from other people's perspectives, and all day of practicing. So 10
Right.
years. Okay, 10 years. Yeah.
10 full years. Absolutely. Because it is
Yeah.
an all day practice.
Yes. Yeah. But
Love that.
definitely, I mean, really what, gosh, it's so amazing. The classes that I took from you,
Mhm.
level one, level two, it's funny. I was this morning, I'm like, I want to say this, but I don't know exactly how to say this. So maybe you can help me. But during
Sure.
during that time of my journey, so my spiritual awakening, this was probably like 4 years later, I found you
Hmm.
and and your group, so your crew,
Yep.
and the words you guys would say, they would come in. But what really shook me in that moment was like physical, was in my body stuff.
Yeah.
But now what it is the language is coming through and I hear you at certain points. And I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, I do remember. And I can clearly see you saying that in class, but not necessarily like back then.
That's
It's like those visions.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dharma school does create a visceral or somatic experience for a lot of people because it is so much energy we're moving, so much energy
Mm.
moving. That is so amazing that the words come. that they're still
Just
there
in the
now.
moment, I can't even recall a sentence right now, but, like, in the moment, I'm
Love
like,
that.
"Yeah, that's so good, I finally get that now."
I love it.
Yeah,
Oh, that makes
yeah.
me smile so much. Well, I think it is so cool that you have this process where you can use parenting as a spiritual practice, is really what it
Mhm.
sounds like. It's truly been a part of your spiritual practice and created so much growth for you, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, truly. I know looking at this past 13 years, it's really great to see how far I've come.
Yeah.
When I made the decision to follow that path that was just a dirt nothing. And now it's well paved. It is so well paved. And I hope to just be a container for
Mhm.
people.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where I am at right now.
Yeah, that's incredible. Now, does that tie into what you're doing with the sanctuary, the living sanctuary? Do you want to say any
Yes.
more about that? Or yeah, I'd love
Yeah.
to hear
Yeah.
more.
Okay. So, yeah, the living sanctuary. Oh my goodness. I was inspired one morning, and this has been a long time of stacking. This isn't the first time I've created a container for community in
Yeah.
this way. I've led things in the past, been a part of amazing things. If you're in Connecticut homeschooling, there's so many groups. And I, it's funny because I would pin notes in my brain because be like, okay, this is what I like about this group. This is what is missing and I'm
Mhm.
kind of sad about that. I really want to be a part of that group. There's this one, but it was missing this piece. And so this all came together in my body where I was like, okay, I can take what I've researched, and this is about a Sudbury school model,
Mhm.
and also gather this spiritual way and what I saw has been missing in community. And that created the living sanctuary. And the living sanctuary, I love it so much. I have just been really walking with God too
Mhm.
these past few months. So, sanctuary was just such a beautiful word that came up. And living really has to do with it's tough because unschooling was a word that I would identify with. And unschooling is where you live based on passions, like what is someone passionate about, and really deconditioning from the traditional school system. So everything we've talked about. But I'm just like, ooh, do I need that? And really what it is we're just living. We're just living together. And education is not separate from living. It's together.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, hearing the struggles of my friends and people I have been around, and I just constantly hear, oh, I want to live this way, but oh, something's holding me back. And I was like, okay, you know what? Like, I need to create a container. I can do this. This living sanctuary is basically, it's so great. It's so beautiful. It's us. It's at our home. It's
Mhm.
us as a family doing a day just like how we would do as a family, but with community.
Wow.
And it was tough to advertise that because because with a family, it's many hands and hearts that create that family and create that energy. So
Wow.
for a living sanctuary, it's all the hands and hearts of the community who are going to be involved. And yeah, I'm so settled in this. It has been a long time coming just to have this at my home. I have this
Mm.
third building, and in the past, it needs work. In the
Mhm.
past, I would be like, oh, needs insulation. Turn around. I'm not looking at that right now. And it was just everything that needed to be done to the third building. I was just like, oh, I can't do that. But what changed is I'm just like, okay, I have to have this container. this third building cannot sit one more day empty and without people. And so I have refinished the shelves. I'm hanging gutters up today. I have half of it done before I hopped on here with you. And slowly but surely, it's showing me that nothing needs to be done in one day.
Oh,
It takes time for these beautiful big visions to come down and be in reality.
mm,
And I know that's just our physical space is that third building, but yeah, I hope my hopes are for having this community is people feel a big sigh that they're in this energy of this container and that we can just let the kids discover. We have almost 2 acres of land we can manipulate. They can build. One of my things is that children should have spaces where they can manipulate. There's so many parks, that are conservatories, or you can't pick a flower, and a
right.
big value was children need wild spaces.
Yeah.
And so this is the wild space that children of all ages can come to discover passions and, you know, read books and just be together in a regular day of our day.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see what unfolds from just holding that space.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's amazing because I think more and more families are hearing this calling. And I do think it is a soul's calling. I think, when your soul doesn't align with what's traditional. And I think that you're making a map and then providing this living sanctuary for people who are like, I want to do it, but I'm not sure what that even looks like. And I'm scared to let them immerse themselves in a family that's doing it and realize and let their body remember, like, okay, this is
Mm,
how we do this. This is community. We all have it in our bones from when our ancestors used to sit around and raise us, around the fire.
yeah.
And you're doing that right now. And it is needed, in my opinion, in the world. The
Mm,
rewilding of children and the strengthening of their character and their ability to solve
mm,
problems and think critically, like all of that is available in the way that you are educating them. And I just think it's magnificent. And to hear that it's also kind of educating or pushing you forward in your spiritual growth is just this beautiful reciprocity for me to hear.
mm.
What
Thank
magic.
you.
What magic you are creating, gal. Oh, I love it. Is there
Thank
anything
you.
else that you want to say, or a quote that kind of keeps you going on those days where you feel like, oh, goodness?
Mm, yeah. Yeah. I do have a quote.
Oh, let's hear it. I love the quotes.
Acquire a force in you that nothing can destroy.
Ooh, read it again.
Acquire a force in you that nothing can destroy.
Mm,
Mm,
that's powerful. Who's that by?
that's by Gurdjieff.
Okay.
And and the thing that gets me about
Yeah.
it is before he said this sentence, he was talking about our heart's desire. And in order to follow our heart's desire, it is to create the conditions in our reality in order for them to be possible. And that wakes me right up. I love that.
Whew. Yeah, that's awesome. Girl, I feel the creative energy going. Like, I want to go do my gutters now. I'm ready. I'm fired up. I want to raise
I
someone's
love that.
kids. I want to do some stuff and get dirty today. This is awesome. Well, thank you so
Mm,
much for being here. It is such a pleasure to work with you and see you.
thank you so much for having me. This was really great.
Oh, of course, of course. And so, for those of you who want to find out more, you can find out Krystal's information. My guest again is Krystal McCabe from A Living Sanctuary. And if you want more information, or contact information is in the little blurb that's at the top of the postings. I don't even know what that's called, but that's where it is. And
Mm,
you can reach out to her directly. And if you feel like you are in the mood for some personal growth yourself, we do have Dharma School starting up in November in Connecticut and in the spring in Michigan. So you'll have a lot of opportunities to do some of your own reflection and growth there in a really safe and sacred environment. So thank you for joining us. This is Natalie Carlisle signing off from Naughty Shaman, where we like to keep the sacred a little bit wild and totally real.